This movie will introduce the use of Compsim management tools, or CMT, to address what we call option-driven decision-making. CMT is a software tool for knowledge capture, scenario planning, and decision-making. A common problem is to prioritize a set of tasks, or to select the best option from a number of options. We call this option-driven decision-making. Option-driven decision-making is commonly used when the options have different benefits and costs. This is compared to criteria-driven decision-making that is also supported by CMT. In this case, we are highlighting a problem where senior management has to decide how to respond to various X-budget tasks that have been requested by several of the business units. The objective is not only to make the decision, but to package the decision in such a way that it can be explained to the business units. The decision-making process will also be recorded so it can be reused in the future and refined with lessons learned. The objective is to make management decision-making a core competency of the business. We will start by assigning the project to a category or file drawer to make it easier to find in the future. In this case, since it is a hypothetical problem, we will assign it to the test cases category. We are asked to confirm the category to set up the new project. This opens a window where we assign our top-level issue. In this case, it is we have a number of X-budget project requests. How might we prioritize them? We will use the hotkey combination of Alt-S to save the top-level issue and enter the drawing mode. The issue we entered appears highlighted on the canvas. I will click the Add button to identify the X-budget tasks. This opens the New Position window. Positions are the same as options. It is here we will enter the tasks that need to be prioritized. The issue we are responding to is shown in the red area at the top of the window. For this hypothetical problem, we have 4 tasks: a new marketing program, a new product development, a manufacturing request, and a request to add training staff and facility. I will use the hotkey combination Alt-A to save and add each one sequentially. After the last, I will use an Alt-S to save and exit back to the drawing mode. Back in the drawing mode, I click on the New Marketing Program box and click on Add to add the pros and cons relative to that program. First, we will add supporting arguments or reasons for the new program. We have 3 reasons supporting the new marketing program and 2 objecting reasons. Supporting the marketing program are: it is necessary to extend brand recognition, it has been 2 years since we had our last marketing campaign, and the new marketing program should result in $4 million of additional sales. The negatives are the cost of the marketing campaign is estimated to be $2 million, and that diverting the X-budget dollars to the marketing campaign will delay investments in other programs. We are using the hotkey combination to accelerate the input process. Once we have completed adding the arguments for the marketing program, we will save and exit back to the drawing mode. While we are entering information, the pros and cons, we are not interested in how important each one of the arguments is. This is just an information collection phase, and we want to collect all the arguments that can impact the decision. At this phase, there are no wrong arguments. This is just a brainstorming phase where you are trying to capture all of the information. As before, to add our supporting and objecting arguments to the new product program, we select the new product box on the drawing canvas with our mouse and then click on the Add menu bar button to begin adding the pros and cons for the new product project. Like the new marketing program, we have 3 supporting and 2 objecting reasons. We enter them using the hotkeys to accelerate the process. The supporting reasons for the new product are: a new product is required to address a new competitive offering. There are existing resources coming off of one program and we don't know what to do with them unless they are applied to a new project. And the new product will allow entry into a new market, in this case the transportation market. The reasons not to work on the new product are: first, the need to hire more employees, and second, the cost of the program itself. As the data is being entered into the system, it is being stored in a database where it can be retrieved at a later time. You may note that there is a priority box where the importance of different arguments could be assigned. Normally, though, during the initial knowledge capture phase, all items are left at the default 100% level. Once we complete adding our supporting and objecting arguments for the new product program, I will focus on the manufacturing project. For this hypothetical company, we will capture only 3 arguments, 1 supporting and 2 objecting arguments. The supporting argument is that next-generation products will require new manufacturing facilities that the company presently does not have. Arguments against the manufacturing project are that it may be possible to outsource the manufacturing to an external company and the cost of the project itself. You might note that cost is almost always an objecting argument. Once you get to establishing a value for an argument like cost, you can argue that low cost is not as bad as high cost, but any cost is a negative. Finally, we will focus on the training project. For this example of using CMT, we will limit the data entry to 1 supporting argument, that there is a need for more customer training specialists to handle new customers, and 1 objecting argument, the cost. Depending on one's business practice, this data entry phase may be iterative, where you go back and add new supporting and objecting arguments to the decision-making process as the problem space is refined. Some organizations will have a process that dictates project justification is done formally, only 1 chance to get it right. Other more fluid organizations will revisit this list over and over again, reacting to new business opportunities and pressures. For organizations with a more formal process, CMT supports the use of templates that can be used to collect all of the arguments that might be used, pros and cons. Using templates allows the project managers to select the arguments from a list that meet their specific objectives in a particular project. The use of templates greatly accelerates the preparation of new project requests and the entire project justification process. The use of templates is outside the scope of this movie, however. In the drawing mode, there are a number of tools to facilitate the layout of the screen. You can drag boxes around, drag subtrees around, and align boxes in different ways. You can also navigate the tree with the arrow keys. But in this case, our objective is decision making, so it is important to focus on ranking and weighting the arguments. In this case, we will treat all of the projects equally and allow the arguments, pros and cons, to dictate the results. To get to the ranking and weighting of arguments, we select the argument below the new marketing program box and click on the 1, 2, 3 menu bar option. This opens the CMT prioritization window. The process for ranking and weighting arguments is to drag items up and down within the list to establish their rank order. Then, using the scroll bars below each item, you establish their weight. This is an iterative process that can be done in a group environment. The dialogue that goes on during the ranking and weighting process holds considerable value. If someone records the comments, they can be included in the CMT database. You should note that there is a linkage between ranked items. You cannot have an item lower in rank have a value that is higher than the item above it. Similarly, you cannot move an item down in the list without forcing those above it to be equal or higher in value. The ability to work with all items together is helpful in creating an integrated view of values. In this case, we are showing numeric values for weights, but this feature is commonly turned off so users don't get hung up with certain numbers. This ranking and weighting process is critical to exposing biases and hidden agendas. The ranking and weighting process, also known as adjusting priorities, is performed for the arguments supporting and objecting to each of the 4 positions. Select an argument below the position and then click on the 1, 2, 3 button in the menu bar. The ranking and weighting process can be revisited as many times as you want. When the ranking and weighting is complete, the information can be analyzed by selecting the top-level issue with the mouse and then clicking on the Decisions button in the menu bar. This integrates the positions and arguments below the issue and collects the material for a report describing the results. During the report generation process, you are asked several questions about whether the final report should contain the charts as background material. The raw data chart shows the unbiased options that are being compared. The adjusted data chart shows the graphical view of the answer, how the alternatives compared after integrating the pros and cons. The individual options can also be displayed as tornado charts that show graphically how the supporting and objecting arguments are integrated to obtain the adjusted values. Finally, a written report is generated and displayed on the screen. You can page forward and backward through the report to review the data. It is common to go back to the drawing mode and revisit the weights of different arguments. It is important to note that the decisions of CMT are supposed to be your decisions, not the computer's, so you will likely have to go back and revisit the weights. There is merit to this approach because it is human judgment that we are trying to document, and subjective biases are commonly integrated into final decisions without regard to the consequences. By providing this interactive dialogue with the computer, you may find that you have to be more realistic in explaining how arguments are weighted. When the computer-generated answer matches the answer you feel is appropriate, you are done. You should be happy with the arguments that were used in the decision and how they are weighted. In some cases, the computer may cause you to adjust your decision, but in the end, it is your decision, and it is documented so it can be revisited later and explained to others. To summarize, CMT provides a way to package and document option-driven decisions where you have to prioritize items and pick the best option. The ranking and weighting process is facilitated with the drag-and-drop graphical process, and this graphical process maps directly with human judgment, but is also an analog balancing process. The report provides a record of how the decisions were made. The interactive weighting of information can be done in a group environment. Data gathering and decision prototyping can be delegated to staff members, and final tweaks can be made by those with decision-making authority. Final reports can be regenerated on the spot. Decisions can be archived for later review and reuse. This movie focused only on option-driven decision-making, but CMT can also be used for knowledge capture and retention, scenario planning, and criteria-driven decision-making. Templates of different types can be created to accelerate the process. Libraries of problem-solving models and templates can provide the tools to make management decision-making a core competency of a business.